Hello, everybody. Howdy. And howdy, I'm from Massachusetts. And thank you for stopping by the Massachusetts Beer Reviews channel of YouTube. I am Thomas Metal 75, and this is your Massachusetts Beer Reviews and a segment called Massachusetts Beer Reviews and Company, where every Wednesday we look at a different, we choose a topic and we all bring a beer based around that topic. And this week's topic is featuring Michael Kormaroff from Brooklyn, New York, local beer YouTube community, what would you say, contributor, sure. And Louisiana Beer Review's own Jay Theriot.
Hello.
For the review, for an examination, we are looking at anything from the country of Germany or any German-style beers. So I think we all have actual German brewed beers this evening.
Correct. I have Optimator.
Nice.
And I have Dab.
Oh, yes.
Got Dabs? No. This is the oldest continuous brewery since 1040. It is the Weihenstephaner. It is their Hefeweizen beer, which is their Hefeweizen beer. And I did a personal review on my own channel, but I will be using this one again this evening in a Weihenstephaner glass. I think I got this glass from like a 4-pack a couple of Christmases ago. It was in a variety holiday pack, and they had a gift pack, and it came with that. So cool.
Very nice. Isn't their claim to fame, Eric, that they're the oldest German brewery that's still brewing beer?
Yeah, they're the oldest continuously brewing of beer brewery. They've been doing it since 1040 AD. So they've been continuously producing beer since that time.
Yeah, well, they think it could be older, but their records only go back. They can't verify it before that, but they believe it's older. But the oldest records they have that can be shown is 1040.
Okay.
Excellent. That is just mind-boggling. And they seem to know what they're doing. For sure. So yes, most of the, actually, I think it's all of the beers, if I'm not mistaken, maybe Jay can speak of that, but all beers in Germany that are brewed in Germany have to follow what's known as the Reinheitsgebot, which is, I'm sure you're all familiar with that, and I've said it on my personal channel numerous times, which is a German beer purity law that was adopted in 1516, and in a nutshell, it says that beer can only be brewed and produced with water, hops, yeast, and malt as its ingredients. But it doesn't actually really specify if it can only be using above a barley malt or it can be using what kind of malts you're allowed to use. It just says malt, so. Thus, we have tons of wheat beers that come out from the German country.
Right. And they didn't do it because they wanted the beer to be pure. Apparently, they did it because they didn't want to run out of grain for bread.
That's a good idea. Yeah, and apparently, looking at some information here on the internet, the beer purity law was adopted even earlier than 1516. There were similar laws in the Munich area of Germany, dating as far back as 1487. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I think it started in Bavaria, the one we're talking about now, the Reinheitsgebot. Yes. Then it spread to the whole. At that time, it wasn't. It was the First Reich. It was the Holy Roman Empire of the German nation.
And according to and they do have it sourced out here from Wikipedia. They do list the source, but they say in 2012 Germany was ranked third in terms of beer per capita beer consumption, behind Czech Republic and Austria. So there you go.
And what people should take in mind or keep in mind is that in 1516 and in 1616 and in 1716 and in 1816, the Czech, what we call today the Czech Republic, or Bohemia and Moravia and Austria were part of Germany. Okay, so those would, if you lived in Austria or Bohemia, Moravia, or what we call Czechia today, that was Germany. That was part of Germany. A lot of people aren't aware of that, but it's the truth. So Czech beers, of course, the Czechs are Slavic people, but there's a lot of German influence. In fact, the guy that developed Pilsner was from Bavaria, which is next door to Czechia.
Yeah. So
I poured mine.
I assume, yeah, that's what I was going to get to. I assume, again, I guess I'm assuming things of the viewers, but I'm going to say it anyways. Wow. Maybe I didn't quite get that right. But with traditional wheat beers, either it doesn't, regardless of if it's from Germany or if it's a wit beer from Belgium, they would like you traditionally, or how it's traditionally been done, is to pour 2/3 of the bottle content into your glass, into your Pilsner glass or a wheat beer glass like this one, or a flute, I guess. And then when you have 1/3 left in that bottle, which maybe I didn't do it quite so well because I see more sediment than usual, you're supposed to swirl that bottle to break all that up. You don't want to you don't want to have it as a big clump on the bottom of the glass, because if you distribute that yeast, that's kind of what's going to give these wheat beers their characteristic flavor to them. Now, you can get a clear version of a Hefeweizen called a Crystal Weiss, which to me almost has more, even though it is an ale, and they're brewing it as such, it has more sort of clean lagering Pilsner kind of characteristics to it, because when you take out that yeast to it, when you unfilter, or when you filter out that yeast, you're losing a lot of the flavor that's known in these white ales and these Hefeweizens. And even Dunkelweizens, which are a darker version of this style.
Yeah, yeah. And if you do the swish and pour, just let me know if my audio goes down. If you do the swish and pour, you'll get that grayish gold cloud descending. And oh, one more thing. Belgium was actually part of the German Empire until the very, very late 1700s. So all of that, Belgium and Czechia and Austria, is Germanic origin.
Sure.
Origin. And I'm drinking a malt liquor, always malt liquor, because it says it on the bottle.
Yep.
But you know, it's the weird. I'm not going to talk a lot tonight, but you know what's the weird thing about this beer? It's produced in Germany, right? In Bavaria, the famous old German state, but it's not sold there. It's sold, you can only buy it in the United States. It's only for export to the U.S. And a lot of Germans have told me, we don't understand it. It's craziness to us. It's got a date, guys. May 2018. That's by May 2018. It's got a production date too. It says the 204th day of 2017.
See mine, and I could probably go on this Weinstefaner website like I'm on right now and figure out what mine in the bottle says, because it has mine just basically has what I'm interpreting as a lot code. It has in big print 8267, and then in smaller print it looks like that was the time it was brewed, which it says 21/51/42.
Yeah.
So it's not easy. It's not easy to decipher unless you know what that is supposed to mean and represent.
Mine has a production date of 12/8/2016, and it's right on its very edge here. They give it a year. So it's right. If you don't consume this now, it's a year old. From the look of it, though, it does still look okay. It still has. Let's see if I can show it to you.
Now, Michael, your camera, we can only see the top of your head. Can you adjust?
I was trying to adjust this on the top, but it doesn't stay down. What can you weight your thing on? Is that better?
Yeah, it's a little better. Yeah.
See, my camera is kind of like if you adjust it, it'll stay there. So it's a different camera.
Mine moves.
Oh, hey, y'all have 11.2 ounce bottles, but I got the 12 ounce. I like the fact that InBev sends over a full 12 ounces with the Optimator and the Spaten.
Yeah, the dab is an 11.2.
and the St. Pauli girl. Yeah, 11.2. That doesn't suit me too well.
Isn't most of the European stuff 11.2 though? Most of the Belgian stuff I get is also 11.2.
Yeah, well, they do that because when you round up to a whole, we get 11.2 because when you round up to a whole number in the metric system, I think it's 330 milliliters.
Yeah.
But obviously, if they can make J's with 12, then they could still do it. I guess, you know,
that's what you're trying to say, yeah.
They choose not to do it.
Right. They know that the Americans want the 12-ounce bottle, so Spaten makes sure that we get the full 12, and that's a good thing.
You wanna go ahead and explain maybe that look and appearance of that beer, since you're starting to do that, Michael Komarov.
Okay.
I'm interested. Get right down to
it. The head was bigger when I first poured it. Can you see it now?
Yes.
So the head is what I call a fast fade kind of head. It's still, if you can see on the top, there's still lacing. It's still not completely gone. It started out about up here. You can see the top of the lacing. So it is fading, and it is a year old, but it looks like it's still holding up. It has that same smell that a lot of the other German beers have. I don't know how to describe it. Are you aware of the smell I'm talking about?
I know what you mean.
It's not a skunk smell, but it's on that kind of train of thought.
Yeah.
It's like a weird yeast smell.
Like a yeasty smell. And
sometimes I like to say that those beers, you might even be getting the kind of I don't want to say like it has a watery smell. That's not what I mean, but maybe you're getting part of this mineral composition that's in the water that was brewed with.
That's certainly possible, but it seems like, especially with, this is what they call an export lager, like Jay's, this dab is not sold in Germany either.
Huh.
They have other things that are similar to it, but this is an export lager. They send everything to other countries.
They must make a lot of money, because even St. Pauli girls does that too.
Yeah, and that's coming from Spaten.
Mm-hmm.
This is from Dortmunder is the company that makes the dab.
Yeah, Dortmunder Axion Brauerei.
Right.
Sure.
That's the company. And they have other beers they make too.
So I did, like I said, I did do an examination of this beer a couple of days ago, so I won't go into great lengths, but I'll just give the viewers, we have 4 of them now. John O'Neill says, good evening, huge fan of German beers. Spaten line of beers are among my favorites. The Optimator in particular is really enjoyable. Can't disagree with that statement, John O'Neill. But I'm going to be very brief on my presentation, so you kind of see what it looks like. It's more orangey. It's a lighter shade of orange and lemony than it looks here. It looks more orangey there. It had a fluffy head. It's dying down somewhat, but it's still retaining its look to it. Smell. I think the one thing that I noticed that I never really thought about when I smelled the beer, besides your clove, your sort of spiced bread elements to it, and the banana, like a banana nut bread almost, without the nuttiness to it, I'm actually might be getting a slight amount of like a vanilla-ish note. And I think that that's a flavor or it's a scent and an aspect to these beers that you still will get it in the filtered Crystal Vias version, but it's just not as pronounced as if you left the yeast in the glass. So for how it looks and for how it smells, a little bit of lemoniness, a little grassy. It just has what you want, what you come to expect from a really well done Hefeweizen.
I think their beer is awesome, man.
It's so cheap. It's cheap for what it is. I think maybe the 6-pack was $9.99 or $11.99, and if you get an American pint bottle of it, I think it's like $3 in my area, which is stupid good deal.
Yeah.
Eric, do you want to go through and do the taste also, or do you want me to do a quick thing about a little bit more about mine?
You know what? Go ahead, Michael Komarov.
Okay, so like I say, the lacing is really good, and it's a clear, it's a lighter yellow than yours. I mean, mine's not orange; it's yellow. I guess what you call
It's a classic beer look.
It's a typical look, and a lot of
golden,
a lot of carbonation coming up from the bottom to the top in the bubble stream. And the lacing is holding up pretty well, everything considered. Very clear. Like I said, the nose is kind of that minerally water type smell, possibly, and maybe some yeast in it. And it's a good looking beer. If you want, I'll give it a taste and see what.
Go right ahead. Cheers, everybody. Cheers to the 4 viewers live right now, currently. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
It has kind of a bready taste,
right?
a bready taste. Your first taste, you get some of the. You can taste the yeast in it.
Damn.
Goes down pretty easy. Very nice.
I've had that beer, Michael, but I think I had it from the can.
I guess it comes in cans and bottles.
Yeah, those 500 milliliter cans.
They've been brewing this beer for the last, they say on their website, dab-beer.com. They've been brewing it for over the last 150 years. And it says on their website that apparently it's available in more than 40 countries.
Wow.
They started in, I guess, 1868 in Dortmund. So that's pretty cool. And then what do they say here? They got that beer you're drinking. They got a Diet, D-I-A-T, or maybe that's DAT pills. A dark version of the one you're drinking, and a Maibock. I don't know that I've seen any of the other beers besides just the one you're drinking. But you are drinking 5%, and that's, you know, just going to be the typical kind of a percentage point for a beer like that.
Very easy drinking, and, you know, it's a session beer, so you can have several of them without any problem.
Sure. Well, I know you've had the beer numerous times, but remind us, Jay, what are you getting out of smells and flavors of the Spaten Optimator?
Okay, is my audio still all right?
You sound good, or you sound good.
Because it could fail at any moment. All right, anyway, it's very raisiny, or
dark fruits.
Yeah, I remember Maria Devon years ago, about 4 years ago, was talking about the Corbinian, the Weihenstephaner Corbinian, and she was saying it had plum notes, and then some little gang of bad people were making fun of her.
It's true, though.
And she was upset and everything. And then I said,
don't discriminate on this channel. No.
Yeah, and so when I heard that, it made me start thinking, you know, and I'm like, hold on a minute. So I looked up the Weihenstephaner website, and what does it say? Corbinian is noted for its plum notes. I'm like, oh, yes. I said, oh, yeah, she's the dummy, you know, but I'm sure Weihenstephaner doesn't even know what their own stuff tastes like. So that was so comical. But anyway, before you make fun of somebody, you might want to check your research. But anyway, this one.
Or try the beer, right?
Or don't be a jerk and try to make fun of people.
We don't do that here. You can go away from my channel if you do that. That is awesome.
You know I don't do that. But
cheers.
Cheers. It just has raisin and plum, or even more like, I swear to you, prune. This would turn a lot of people off because it's very intense in the aroma. It's 7.6% alcohol. There's a strong barley malt bread flavor with that underlying prune and hop bitterness. It's 199 calories for one bottle, so you know, it's not exactly a diet drink.
Right.
It has a good finish, medium dry. It's not a session beer. If you drank 3 of these, you would have some serious things to deal with.
Driving is an issue at that point entirely.
Or walking. It's true. Oh, and by the way, no skunk, and it's a green bottle.
Good.
It's a great beer on draft. Now, if you find it on draft, I remember when I had gone to a Deutsches Haus for Volksfest, they had it on draft, and man, it was just so good. But I've never had it in cans, and I don't even know if it's available in cans. But the 12-ounce bottles are a delight. It was only $1.59 for the single, which I got as a sample, you know. It's a shame the Germans can't get it. I was trying to find a website over here. That's why I looked like I was fooling around, because I am. I was trying to get the German website, see if they had any spots in beers that maybe they can get that are similar to this, you know. But it's a dark bock. It's brown. It's just, when you got good light, it's like reddish brown or something like that. It should get a very high rating. I don't know why somebody would find fault with it, and I would highly recommend it. They used to make a St. Pauli Girl dark lager, but that's no longer produced. There's still a Beck's dark, but try to find it. You know what I mean?
Now, from what I understand, Jay, Beck's is now made in the United States by Miller.
Oh, no.
You're talking about German brewed Beck's.
No, isn't that Anheuser-Busch?
Yeah, it's brewed in the United States by Anheuser-Busch.
Or Anheuser-Busch, not okay. Yeah. But is it still made in Germany too?
For the German market, yes. It's all InBev, so they just it's kind of like Budweiser. Budweiser's made in the United States, but it's also made in England. It's made in Canada. It's made in China. And then Beck's is one of those world brands.
I'm gonna have to go. I'm finding that I like this website more and more often that I go to it. It's the Draft Magazine's website, thedraftmag.com. They do their own reviews as well, and they're very short and concise, which is what I like about it. They're ending up giving, from Draft Mag, the Spaten Optimator at 7.2%, 24 IBUs, listing it as a Doppelbock. They're giving it an 88 out of 100. And, it probably deserves at least, it probably doesn't deserve any less than that. That is a pretty damn fine beer you got there.
Yeah, and it's not 7.2, it's 7.6.
Oh, maybe they've changed. Maybe that's changed over time. Do you think that's possible?
So Jay, if you're going to give this a rating, is it an A-?
As long as I've been drinking it, it's always been 7.6. Well, let me say one thing, Michael. I find it a lot more pleasant than the Paulaner Salvatore. There's something about Salvatore. It's very good, but it's harsh. It's like rubbing sandpaper on your face. But Spaten is not like that. It's pleasant. I don't know why this. They must be updating their websites or something, because it won't come up. But anyway, oh, here we go. They're saying, oh, Spaten. They're showing. They're not showing. I would give it an A, Michael, a straight A, not an A-, an
Okay,
A.
I got you.
It's that good of a beer. Have you had it before?
Yes, I have. I liked it too.
And you want a number? I'll give you 94. How about that?
Okay.
There you go.
I was going to tell when Eric just said 88, I thought it should be higher than that.
Yeah,
I was putting it into numbers. I would say like 91 or 92, but I'm not going to quibble over a couple of points.
Maybe the only thing that the Draft Mag people might be saying that could be a complaint, or could be anything holding it back from getting a higher rating, is one of the things they mention about it is they say, and it goes on after that, but they say Optimator's flavor is complex but not deep, ... So, but they also say it's got a medium body and a mild alcohol warmth, and a little more than a well-made high quality taste. So I think probably within that style, it's probably really good to them, but it probably isn't the biggest and boldest and, the most in-your-face example of a.
So it's losing depth points.
I'm guessing that, but you'd have to you're sort of digging further into their review than probably was intended. But for me, to get back to the beer again, I have reviewed this the other day on my channel, the Weihenstephaner Hefeweizen beer, 5.4%, and they're saying on their website here, which is the Weihenstephaner with the ER .de for Deutschland. They say that this is 14 IBUs and 5.4% alcohol by volume. And they want you to drink this. It says, I think it said it somewhere. Here it is. Store dark and keep cool. It says 46 to 52 degrees Fahrenheit. So mine is probably closer to that 46 range. And they say our golden yellow wheat beer, which is fine with its fine poured white foam, smells of cloves and impresses consumers with its refreshing banana flavor. It is full-bodied and with a smooth yeast taste. To be enjoyed at any time, goes excellently with fish and seafood, with spicy cheese, especially with a traditional Bavarian veal sausage. And they won a lot of different awards here, and you can go on their website, Weihenstephaner.de, if you want to look that up. But for me, that flavor is practically following the nose to a T, which is lots of banana fruity esters to it. I am getting a little bit of a lemoniness. There might be a touch because of the yeast down there, where I'm getting almost like that toasty oat kind of a note to it. I'm guessing that's some more of the yeast giving it slightly like a toasty note, but that's just the yeast doing that. I guess there is the bubblegum flavor. I can see why people say bubblegum in some of these wheat yeast kind of beers, but I wouldn't really think bubblegum as the first thing that I note. And yeah, there is a little bit of vanilla and some orangey notes. So I guess if somebody were to describe this kind of like a creamsicle, I wouldn't necessarily disagree with them. But it's definitely light to medium, crisp, very, I would say it's semi-dry. It's not extremely dry, but it's pretty dry. And yeah, as the website says, and these style of beers should be, they're ultra refreshing. Very, very delicious and easygoing with lots of flavor.
Creamsicle. Hey,
just a dab, no pun intended, of that vanilla note that makes me think that.
Hey, I thought Michael Jennings was going to join us tonight.
Send out the info. Michael Jennings, where are you at?
John had his beer. John had his beer, but he had some family thing that he had to take part in.
And I was hoping Eric in Michigan would join us.
John and Neil is saying that he would love to join some of these hangouts. And he says, send him an invite. And every time I set up the videos, I will send you a personal invite as well, John and Neil. But I post them to our Beer Chat 2017 group chat that we have privately set up for our friends on Facebook. So if you're on that chat, John and Neil, all you got to do is click over.
I told him, I said, you need to, he's not a member of Facebook. I said, you need to start a Facebook account, and then you could be part of Beer Talk, and then you would see what we're talking about. But if for whatever reason he doesn't want to be on Facebook, he could adopt an alias, right, and be like John Schaefer, He could
I'll send him. I'm typing this now to our chat for the viewers, but I will post. I will send you the link invite through your Google Hangout so you can read it that way. That's what I will do.
Okay. And the people who are watching, Jay and Eric, we're looking toward doing some English beer next week. But like Eric said, if you do bring one from Ireland or Scotland or Wales, that's okay also.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
We said, Jay, do you want to keep it just England alone? That's what my first thought was.
Yeah.
Why violate your own?
Well, all I said in regards to that was is I just know that somebody's going to screw up and bring an Irish beer when we said English.
Well,
You may be right.
They need to talk to me and I'll help them with geography. Look,
Okay. Awesome. Great.
Because England,
hang out at my house and we have Western movie night and you show up with Star Wars, we might have a problem. Okay.
that's right. I would like it to be English only because their styles are more distinct than the Irish styles.
Sure. I would agree. We actually have a live viewer. Oh, I don't know if this person's live, but we had a person in our chat. His name is SD, or his or her name is SDTV. He or she says, "Hi, I'm from Germany," and hello, SDTV.
Hello.
What do you think of these beers, SDTV? What's your favorite beer from your home country of Germany? Let us know.
Eric, what would you rate this one? Do you remember what you rated it originally?
I think I gave it a 90 the other day. I can't even remember. I think I gave it a 90.
I think he was up into the excellent. Hey, let me say this before I get off here because I can't stay too long. It's irritating that we can't get all these great German beers. Like I'm looking at the AD InBev German website. Just this one company. They've got Francis Connor, which we know we've had Francis Connor. And they've got Dax, we've had that. And I don't know, but now they've got Diebels, Hockenbeck, Lowenbrau, Spaten, and Perfect Draft. I mean, it's like, why can't we get all this stuff? You know, we would try it, we would drink it, right?
Yeah.
Let me give my rating for mine.
Okay.
I'm going to give mine an 85. I'm going to give the Dab an 85, which I guess would be a B plus, maybe. I don't know how you put that across.
What you said, Jay, what did it mean, Jay?
You sound like every time there was a video call in Star Wars with those little blue-looking characters. Your voice sounds like that right now.
Wait, hold on.
Hologram, that's the word I'm looking for. He sounds like one of those hologram video calls from Star Wars.
Well, Eric, now it's just you and me.
All right, much cleaner audio. Sorry, Jay, but yeah, you would give that an 85, and
Is it? Would you say that's a B plus?
yeah, that's why I would rank that. That's where I would start my B plus ranking. But I would say about 80 to 84 is a B minus.
I mean, it is
Or
what
80,
it is.
83 or 2 maybe.
Jay is back. Hopefully, he'll be better.
We'll see.
How does this sound now?
It's all right. It's all right now.
You're fine.
Yes, explain your 85 rating.
Okay, I find this just to be what you'd call an average lager.
Mm-hmm.
It's good. It's not great.
Well, wait a minute.
I do like the water.
Wait a
It is
minute.
crisp.
Wait a minute. Can you hear me? Do I sound all right?
Yep, you do.
If you're saying it's see, I told you it was going to deteriorate. If you say it's average, then why aren't you giving it a C?
Okay, it's average plus. Now, keep in mind, I'm not a lager fanatic. I don't like lagers. So I would say for this type, a B plus for me is very high.
Okay.
Yeah,
Average is a bad word. I take it back. Let's say it's average plus.
Yeah, because to me, average is like not good, but it's tolerable. That's the way I would look at average. It's tolerable, but I wouldn't want to drink it, and I wouldn't exactly enjoy it if I did drink it. But to me, good is like it tastes good. I'm enjoying it. It's a good beer. So that's why I'm like, you know how you're a stickler for numbers? That's why I'm a stickler for those interpretations.
sure. Yeah,
Okay, let's rate it high to average plus.
Okay.
So it's better than average, but it's not something that I would say go out and seek it out.
Yeah.
Okay, so C plus, like a 79.
Okay,
got,
maybe it'd be a little bit less than what I
rated it. As I alluded to, we have SD, his username SDTV, live watching us in Germany. I asked the question a couple of seconds ago. Asked him or her what their favorite German beer is from Germany, and they say the best is, if I'm pronouncing this right, if not, I apologize. It says Furstenberg.
Oh, I know where that is.
And he also says Krombacher is another one. So excellent. Don't think I've tried either or. I will put that on the list to find. Sure.
I have. Well, you know, Michael, Germany is a big lager country, so they're like big time into lagers and Pilsner lagers. You know what I mean? So I don't know. You might not have the greatest fun over there. You might do better in Belgium, which they love their ales.
Probably.
Well, he said England. You know, England, they love their ales. So
they it's funny that you talk. It's funny that the both of you ended up. I say funny, right? It's ironic in a way that you both brought what's considered in the German market, the exports to that they only brew it in for other countries, for export to other countries. But maybe again, like I say, maybe Jay can elaborate on this if he feels like he can on that. But Germans pretty much exported their own beers, or not their own beers, but Germans pretty much exported their own styles and ways of brewing beer to other parts of the world where they had migrated to, and where they eventually, where their new homes were. So places in South America, Mexico, even most of the major brewers from the United States and Canada, they're all founded by German immigrants, and they brought their brewing styles over to other parts of the world.
pretty much like, and most of those are lagers. Like, I'll just name a few. Dos Equis, Qingtao beer, Qingtao in China, that was started by Germans living in China. So it's just like a common thing, you know. Miller beer started by Frederick Miller, a German immigrant. It goes.
Yeah. So in a way, you could say that practically German beers are almost the most popular styles of beer.
So I guess if you asked me to say, Jay, I would say this is better than a macro lager.
From the United States, that's
discussing from the United States. So that's another reason why I still would stick with my 85. Because I remember now, I'm giving the macros a lot less than that, because I just think they're more poorly produced. That's my opinion. Now it's up to a point of opinion.
Yeah.
Budweiser, not to pick on it, but I would give a Budweiser an 80.
I got a question for SDTV, if you're still watching the video. I guess for like a beer, like if you think about American beers, SDTV, or like something even like a Molson Canadian, or a Labatt's, or a Miller Brewing Company beer, or a Budweiser, or a Coors Banquet beer, or like a Corona, or something like that, what Americans typically associate as a just plain old beer. What do you think? What do people in your country, in Germany, actually think of those beers, and in relation to what you drink as an actual German brewed lager? Do they look down on these kind of beers? Do they look down on everybody else using corn and rice in their beers, or do they just look at German, or you just look at German beers as, well, this is how we do things, and
I think
good enough?
I think Michael, his bugaboo with this is he doesn't like the adjuncts, the rice and the corn.
Right.
I guess that's exactly it.
And now, but there are some really good beers that are made with adjuncts, but in Belgium, they don't have the Reinheitsgebot. So, like, think of a beer like Leffe. You know,
I actually like that, but I find that to be too light for me.
But see, they use corn. They use cornflakes.
I think it's too light. It's Leffe is light for me.
Isn't that what the addition of a corn is doing to a beer anyways? Not only does it help them cut costs by using that ingredient, but doesn't it naturally lighten up the flavor, lighten up the body?
Apparently, yeah.
I don't want to show an anti-macro bias to the point I'm picking.
Wait a minute, wait, hold on. You could be the most anti-macro person on earth, and it wouldn't bother me, because you got to call them as you see them. I am not one of these people that has like a pet attachment to a style. Okay, so people misread what I do. Like they'll say, "Oh, there he is with his Miller High Life." But okay, but I don't get upset if people rag on it or don't like it. You know what I'm saying?
I got you.
I don't have a pet attachment to these styles.
Well, let me ask you, Jay, how would you say the straight Budweiser is an A? Or how would you rate it?
I'm not drinking one right now. I would have to.
And I know you've had it in the past, so you can remember.
Yeah, I'm using recollection. And the way I grade beer is within the style.
Okay.
A lot of people don't like that approach. They say, no, you have to compare it to every other beer on the planet. I don't like that idea because they're not all the same. So everybody doesn't like the same style. It'd be like saying, well, I'm going to compare tomatoes to every other vegetable, but they're not the same. It doesn't make any sense to me. Okay, so I don't have that, what do you call it, framework from which to think. I think Budweiser is probably at least, around at 90. It's like perfect within its style. Now, of course, you have to understand, you may not like the style. So I can appreciate that. I know people that love eggplant. I cannot stand eggplant.
I got you.
Okay? But some people just love it. But I'm not going to sit there and say, oh, I don't like eggplant. Well, who cares if I don't like eggplant? No one cares.
No, see, and that's why I give the Dab an 85 and I give the Bud an 80. I'm willing to say the Bud is a C+ to me because I think it's a average lager.
Okay, so you're saying you don't find it's produced so well, and I'm saying I think it's produced perfectly.
I'll tell you what I think is good about Budweiser. I think it's one of the more consistently kept the same exact beer of anything I've ever seen, where you can go to any of their production breweries and they're all the same. So they're very good at that. I'll give them credit. They produce the same thing. But when they give you this Beechwood age crap and the other stuff, I know it's an advertising ploy.
Sort of.
They can use Beechwood chips until they turn green.
I went to the brewery. I know Jay's been to one too, but I've been to that brewery, the Anheuser-Busch brewery, and I kind of know what you're saying, Michael Komaroff. But I've been to that brewery in Merrimack, New Hampshire, and one of the things that they talked about is that the reason that they chose a Beechwood chip is because it doesn't. Okay, budget. Because the reasoning they chose the Beechwood,
he was offended and left.
I guess. Well, but the reasoning that they use the Beechwood chips is because it doesn't impart any. It doesn't. I don't know what the right way to say this is, but it doesn't influence the flavor of the beer. So why? I mean, that's cool. I mean, it's just been a tradition since forever. But if it doesn't impart any actual flavor to the beer, then why are they spending the extra money to do that?
I agree. I've been to the one. Go, Jay.
Then I jumped off on purpose. Wait a minute. Okay, I'm not a defender of Anheuser-Busch, nor do I get any money from them. Although I'm not discouraging them from sending massive amounts of money. So if you want,
we don't discourage that for ourselves.
And you'll drink the beer if they send you that too. I understand.
Absolutely. The Beechwood aging is not a marketing ploy. There's an actual reason for that, and that's what y'all were talking about when I intentionally got off.
Yeah.
Look, okay, I don't think Beechwood is like real expensive wood. It's just a type of wood. They get it from like, I don't know, Kentucky or Tennessee. I asked them, why do you use Beechwood? They said, well, there's two reasons. First of all, they put the wood chips in there in the bottom of this huge metallic, this metal, I think it's stainless steel, fermenting tank. And I mean, it's big. They said they wanted to give the yeast a surface to cling to. So they have to have this like ragged surface. They say that the bottom dwelling, it's bottom fermenting yeast holds on to. So back when they developed Budweiser in 1876, they found that by putting that in there, it would give the yeast a surface to hold on to. Now, they went with different woods and they found that Beechwood was the best because it didn't give any flavor or aroma to the beer. And they wanted a wood that would be neutral, that they didn't care about. They didn't use wood for flavor or aroma. They just wanted it for surface area. like this ragged surface there. So they said they could use oak, but then the beer would taste like bourbon. They could use with vanilla. And what they do with the beechwood is they bleach it, clean it and bleach it to where it is just like nothing.
I guess if they came across this, I'm gonna use the term revolutionary. Nor am I trying to defend craft beer here when I say that, because you know me, I drink everything. But and these viewers should know that about me. But if they discovered this whole revolutionary idea about using the wood chips, the beech wood, to do this with the yeast, how come nobody else is? How come a lot of other breweries haven't decided to try that idea?
Okay, so of course now here we are in 2017. They probably found out much cheaper ways to do it over the years. Okay, but what did they do for the first 100 years? Every Budweiser said, I'm glad you got that little piece. Every Budweiser said beechwood. So now if they don't use it, then people are going to say, oh, they're getting cheap. You see, they're being cheap. They're not using beechwood, those cheapskates. Now, they don't claim to use beechwood for Michelob. They don't claim to use it for Natural Light. They don't claim, they only claim to use it for Budweiser. So now, and I guess today, it is a marketing thing in the sense that if they don't do it, the Budweiser drinkers are going to say, oh, you're getting cheap. So, okay.
And what I was going to say before, Jay, do they still have a brewing facility in Newark, New Jersey?
I believe they do.
Okay, because I've gone on 2 tours. I went on one in Newark, New Jersey, and I went on one in Jacksonville, Florida. So I've been to 2.
Now, the good tour to take.
The Jacksonville one still a Budweiser facility as well?
Yes. Yes.
So I've been to both of those. And the only, look, I heard the same thing that you heard you said with Merrimack, New Hampshire. Is that where they are?
Yeah, Merrimack, New Hampshire.
Okay, and Jay, have you been to there's one in, there's nothing in Louisiana, though.
There's Fort Worth, Texas, right?
There's one in Fort Worth, Texas.
No, that's Miller. That's Miller. That's Miller.
That's Miller.
Oh.
So where does your Budweiser come from?
Houston.
Oh, that's it. Right.
Houston. Okay.
They've had,
Texas.
They've had a Budweiser. They've had an Anheuser-Busch plant, brewery, I should say. There's been an Anheuser-Busch brewery in Houston continuously, not counting Prohibition, since 1896.
Wow, that's a long time.
1896.
You get that?
Yeah, I see the little sediment on the bottom.
I see it.
To go back to German beer for a quick second, you get that very, very bottom. You can see that the very, very bottom from the bottle of the Weihenstephaner, and it comes out like almost like milky because it has all that sediment. And all that sediment, you might, there you go.
On the bottom of the bottle too.
You can see it. You can see like there's this almost like a, I don't want to say like a hop resin, but it's almost like a resin that is the yeast that really stuck to it, and it's very cloudy and murky, and it almost kind of looks like how do I describe that? Like it was burnt on sugar. It has that kind of look, and like fogged glass kind of look to it. It's definitely unique for me. I mean, I guess Hefeweizens aren't really unique, but it's just a unique thing that these kind of beers do. Again, it's just these 4 ingredients of hop, water, yeast, and malt. But it's not even so much. I mean, I guess there is a hop presence. I can't really say there's not. But for me, it's just so much of a careful consideration over many, many centuries in choosing the kind of yeast that they do. And it's almost like a chemistry and alchemy in a way, and some kind of science. And a lot of it, brewing is a science. And the way that they choose these yeasts, and they know how it's going to react to these certain wheat malts and these certain hops that they use, that, it's just sort of, it's one of these beer styles, I guess, at the end of the day, that I'm trying to say, that it's obviously time tested. These kind of beers from Germany, even Dab, even Spaten Optimator being exported out here, so be it. They are very time tested. And nobody can say, no matter how simplistic maybe they may seem, that you cannot just sit there and say, there is no legitimacy, there's no reasoning I should be drinking these. There's certainly a lot of reasons you should drink them, if it's not just for historical facts, for historical in nature, to say, well, I see where beer has come from, and now you can sort of look at the whole picture and say, are we doing it right? Who even knows? Maybe that's not a fair question to ask if new styles of beers and new breweries and new fads are even doing it right, or should we just be going back to old world traditions? Now, I leave that up to the individual on that one, though.
I have another general German beer question, Jay. Let me ask you first. I know you have a thought too. What do you think of the lower priced items you can get as imports in the United States, like Bitburger and some of the other German beers which come in the 16.9 ounce cans? And they're obviously not the top of the level, but they are Reichsgebot law followed, and they seem to be on the shelves all over the place. What do you think of those beers?
Okay, well, wait a minute. A few more little thoughts, and then I got to get off.
Okay.
First of all, I would take the Brewmasters tour at any of those Anheuser-Busch breweries. It costs about $25, but it's a much bigger and better tour. I don't know if you can hear me, but it's $25, and it lasts for 2 hours. And it's not some little run you through there and give you a bunch of marketing garbage. They take you to the laboratory where you can watch them test the beers. They take you to the room where they cook the rice and the barley. It's a much, you'll get a different perspective about Budweiser after you take that tour. And plus, they'll let you drink the beer out of the finishing tank. They'll let you drink a bunch of fresh beer. They give you a lot of stuff on the tour, so you're really getting your money back, basically. Now, I don't think that those cheap beers are a deficit, like Bitburger. Maria Devon, she drinks that stuff all the time if you ever watch.
She loves that beer.
She loves that beer. I love that beer, too. I think that beer's awesome. Is every German beer good? No, I've had some stinkers. I had one made me vomit.
Oof, great. Was that a higher ABV beer?
No, it was only 4.5. It wasn't the company's fault. It wasn't the beer company's fault. It was the grocery store's fault for keeping it on the shelf for like 10 years, 6 years, letting it go rancid. That was their fault. It wasn't the company's fault. I mean, it was a joke. If you watch the video that I did, I'm just like going a rant and rave with Ronald. And then and I only drank about 4 ounces and still made me sick as a dog.
Damn.
I woke up at 2 in the morning and I said, I'm in trouble now. That was.
Hey, what do you think of a company like Erdinger? Erdinger. Have you tried some of their stuff? They make a good Dunkel.
Hell yeah.
I like Erdinger. Or Erdinger, however you say it. I like Erdinger.
Because there are a lot of German beers. I mean, it's a lot. It's not like it's a small deal.
I like Flensburg. I like almost all of it, Now, I've had some bad ones. I've had some really nightmarish Czech, super strong lagers that will make you question everything that you do in your life. They're so bad.
All right. Wow.
Like Boom. What's one of them called? Boom and
Something
Bam.
like sounds familiar.
And if you really want to try a really bad one, I didn't drink it all. I didn't want to throw up. It's called Super Brew 15. It's from Bucharest. I swear Ceausescu must have come up with that. That thing is so evil. That beer is so evil. And there's some really strong ones from the Netherlands, like you all know about Grolsch, and Eric's talking about Carlsberg. But there's a Grolsch 11%.
Really? Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's called.
Jay, have you seen any Lithuanian beers?
Lithuania?
No, but I tried the one from Estonia.
The reason I ask about Lithuania, we have something, it's a like beer distributorship called Thrifty, and there's one in Sheepshead Bay, not far from me, and they're all high, the type I'm talking about, 14, 15, 16% alcohol. So, but what's shocking is some of them are good. Most of them are bad. Most of them taste like rocket fuel, if you know what I mean. So
Wow.
It's not good. But again, if you're willing to try, we did one of these beer tastings and somebody stuck one of them in and we got a good one. We tried the same thing again and it was awful. So it shows you there's no consistency in the way they're brewed. So it must be the kind of thing where one sneaks through that's decent. or they're all decent and they let them sit too long on the shelf and some of them go bad. I don't know what the story is.
That's probably part of it. But then you get these high ABV ones and they can really be horrible. Like
nightmarish.
What?
Nightmarish.
I agree.
Oh yeah, a nightmare, a liquid nightmare. I swear. The ones, the three I named, and I've had a few other really bad ones, and I've had some bad German beers, in fact, but it's not awful.
Yeah.
Well, anyway,
have you had? I have a question, Jay. Have you had a beer from the Netherlands called Orange Boom? Not Boom, but Orange Boom. Orange Boom.
Yeah. Yeah, I bought that. I bought that beer at yes, Trader Joe's. Yep. I didn't think it was that great.
It's average minus.
Yeah, Orange Boom is from that company called Martins. They're sort of like the City Brewing of America, of the Netherlands, sort of like the Minhas.
Well, I think I mentioned this at a previous one. There's a chain of grocery stores that's a European company called Aldi, A-L-D-I. I don't know. Do you have them yet? Have you seen them?
They own Trader Joe's.
Okay, they own Trader Joe's, but they have their own stores too. And the brands that they import into the United States are all brewed by Martens. And they're reasonably priced, but they're also average minus. They're not great. It's just like
crappy.
Average beer.
The worst beer I've ever that I can think of that's actually German. And I remember doing this review and Jay kind of thinking otherwise, which is fine. I mean, reviewing is entirely opinionated, so you got to take what you're drinking and you got to form your own opinion on it and deliver that opinion. That's what a review is. It was the AC/DC's Rock or Bust beer. Now, it was one of those beers like the one that Jay was drinking. And, well, it was more like the one that Michael Kormaroff was drinking, but it's like the same idea with Jay's beer he had tonight and with Michael Kormaroff's, where they don't sell it in Germany. It's only produced for an American export.
Yeah, I was supposed to this. Go ahead.
I was bragging on that AC/DC, huh?
It was gross.
I have another side comment I'd like to ask you both about. I think all three of us are on Zone 1 Beer, the review site.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm on other sites too, and I have a question for you. If you did not like somebody's review, would you lambaste them, or would you just accept it and life goes on and whatever it is?
No, if I have a difference of opinion and I want to add that, I mean, I wouldn't. I guess I don't always do that, but if I feel like somebody is trying to review something and they're not quite understanding the beer, or they're trying to describe a reasoning why they don't like the beer, and it seems like maybe the other people that have been reviewing the beer, whether it's on video or on like written text websites or Untapped, and they all seem to say a total opposite thing, I might chime in with something. But generally speaking, unless the video is, unless a video is like derogatory or highly offensive to a certain race of people or a gender of a person or promotes violence, then I'm going, that will be the reason I thumbs down a video. That's about it.
Well, these aren't video reviews. These are I'm talking about the straight reviews where somebody will put up a beer and they'll give a description.
Oh.
And to me, I'm a moderator on one of these sites. The only reason that I was involved in this, because somebody came on and they made derogatory comments about this person who wrote this review. And I had to go to the head moderator to ask him because I have the ability, if I want, to just knock them off the site for doing it. He says, give them one more chance, which is what we're doing, because maybe it was just a one-time thing and whatever. But the reason I'm asking is it shows you that even beer reviewing gets people's blood boiling to the point where it's crazy.
Because the problem is people don't know how to approach it. I might say something like, well, I didn't really like that beer, but I can see that you liked it, but it didn't sit well with me. Some people approach it, hey, you're an idiot. You like the beer, you have no taste in beer. You're a fool. You should give up beer. Well, that kind of approach is just asking for trouble.
This was with gay epithets, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I mean,
it gets ridiculous. It gets really ridiculous. The level that it gets to over nothing. We're supposed to be having fun in craft beer.
I run across that on YouTube all the time.
I like to say that there are three that really there are almost, when it comes to I'm including even people on a Rate Beer and a Beer Advocate and Untapped that don't do video reviews, but they're still doing a review on the internet in a sense, which is there are three different kinds of a beer reviewer, if you will. Or even just a beer consumer in general. There's one that only just drinks pale style lagers. I'm not just going to say an adjunct lager, a pale style lager.
Look, I got to go, but I appreciate you joining me. But the thing,
Jay, are you on next week with English beer?
More than likely.
Okay, sure. We count on you. Good.
Look, well, don't count on me, but hope for me. Hey,
hope for you.
We'll pray. Look,
you know, I got my site on Facebook called Alcohol Eggs. It's pretty active. Actually, it's very active. If somebody comes in there with that kind of approach, they're out. I don't care about second chances. You can't show respect to people. Go bother somebody else's Facebook.
Since I never actually kicked anybody out, I asked him, and he's giving him a second chance. We're watching this guy. If he does it again, he's out.
Right, and
but otherwise, he's going to be out.
Yeah, we had a guy that was in there looking like he wanted to cause trouble, but I said, I know what's going to happen. He was looking to cause trouble, and what happened was everyone just ignored everything he said. So after about a week, he quit.
There goes the audio again.
Jay, have a good week, and we'll hope you can come next week again.
Cheers.
Okay, all right.
So, Eric, what side topic do you want to discuss so we can keep?
All right, I'll get back to that discussion. So again, we were talking about nasty, sometimes the weird way that a craft beer person works, where some of the community is almost has this snobbery kind of a mindset where what they'll do is basically look down on somebody for their opinion on a beer or for their selection of a beer. So like I was saying before Jay cut me off with his thought, which was fine. There are like three different kinds of beer consumers and beer online reviewers. There's the ones that only like, I don't want to say macro beers. There's the ones that only like a pale, lighter style golden lager. There are the ones that only like, actually there's four people. Then number two, there are only ones that like craft beer. Number three, and I find myself to be more in number three than any of the categories, which is we like both macro or mass-produced kind of traditional lagers and craftier beers too. We don't really specify, you know, our bottom dollar is this and our high dollar is this. We just like to try all kinds of beers. And now that I think about it, I really do think there's a fourth kind of a online reviewer and a online beer drinker, which is the people that like to do the 40-ounce malt liquors and, you know, just chug beer to get wrecked.
Okay. You can put me in category 2, not because I'm anti-macro, just because I don't drink them.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, and I know Jay's going to be watching this, so I apologize if this sort of sounds out of context, but I know I know his thought process behind why he gives more, why he highly rates something like a Budweiser or a Coors Banquet or a Grolsch or something like that. It's because these companies, they really do have really high quality standards, and they really uphold to those things because they know that if any of this quality, you know, differentiates from batch to batch, you're gonna lose a lot of money from consumers that are very that I don't know how to say this, but some people just drink and consume, even if it's food, they just consume it based on on brand loyalty. They don't really have a reasoning why it happened to be. A lot of people don't. Maybe some of them do, but a lot of people don't have any real reasoning why they chose to like Budweiser and buy that exclusively, or Bud Light over Coors Light, or I guess even if you're a cigarette smoker, why smoke Marlboro over L&M or something? I don't know. It's just brand loyalty, right? So I think a lot of these people, these companies depend on their brand loyal consumers, and if anything happens to their brand and their quality, they're going to lose their consumer base, and that's going to be a lot of money. So in the end, I think he likes them because they're very inoffensive, easygoing, and they have really high qualities.
And I'm admitting about Anheuser-Busch, even since they've been bought by InBev, have kept their quality level and the fact that it's all the same well, but I don't have to like it.
Right. I'm not suggesting, and that's where I want to go, and that's where I do go with my beer review channel and my personal beer tasting journey here. I like everything. I like it. Like I said, I'm in category 3 of the different kind of beer drinkers, where I like everything. I just can't find really, in my personal opinion, I can't find any reason to really hate any. I got to try everything to know if I don't like it. So I mean, I like a lot of different styles, and I'm not the kind of person that is gonna say, "Oh, you don't like Budweiser. Oh, you don't like Heady Topper. Well, screw you." What good does that do? That doesn't do any good. This is supposed to be fun.
And I think, Eric, I think that Jay is correct. I do not like corn as an adjunct. I think that's true. I think that's a very good reason why. I think Left, which has corn, is too light. I don't like the corn.
I mean, not only is it, like I said earlier, not only is corn a cheaper ingredient, a cheap to acquire ingredient in mass quantity for your beers, but it does a little bit for lightening up the body of the beer, which is, for some people, that's exactly what they're looking for. Now, I was looking at this, which is almost a different topic, so I apologize there, but I was looking at this a couple of weeks ago, maybe like a month ago, like, why is what we consider a mass-produced beer in this country, or in the North American continent, let's say, why do we consider that beer to be like a pale yellow fizzy lager style of a beer, where they're typically either 5% or much lower than that? And it would seem to be, well, number one, like I said earlier, German immigrants have come to this country and settled in this part of the world, and they brought their brewing techniques with them. And that would be one reasoning why they're those style of lagers. The other reasoning that I found out, and I think I forget what website it was. It might have been a Forbes article or something like that. The other thing that they're mentioning is, which is strange to us now, is that like 20s or late 1800s, even in 1900s and teens, apparently workers were allowed to go out to, when they were at lunch breaks, to go and drink a maximum of 2 beers. So if they're going to go out on their lunch break, which is crazy in the 21st century, say, oh yeah, have a couple of beers and come back and go back to work in the coal mines, right? Yeah, with heavy machinery and equipment. But they needed, if they were just going to do 2 beers on a lunch break, they needed to be much lower in alcohol percentage, and they needed to be easier to consume. So this whole idea of like a German Pilsner or just a Pilsner style beer was very preferable to the masses, and that's how it became a mass kind of a beer style for the people. Although there were a lot of ales that were popular during that time, even like a Ballantine ale or a Ballantine IPA, but they were just a little bit too heavy in flavor and just a little bit too much. Not like it was huge, but just a little too much in ABV to have been consumed by the masses during a lunch break.
Right. The same theory with the Saison beers, which were produced for the French farm workers who obviously, if they're taking a break, can't come back and till their fields if they're crocked. So they have a couple of these beers, which are usually, I think, generally like 4%, even though you can get amped up Saisons now.
Because, the American craft brewers like to sometimes take a traditional style and just do their own twist and spin on it. But we have John O'Neill asking Michael here, do you not like American adjunct lagers because you find them to be too light for your particular taste? Question mark.
Yes, I find them to be too light, and I guess I don't like the corn adjunct influence. They all have corn adjuncts in them, so I don't like that type appeal.
Some of the beers do use rice. I know, like
I find that to be too light.
Sapporo does, maybe Kirin Ichiban does a lot. There's Japanese rice lagers, but also Budweiser's a rice beer. But you're not. I
guess I'm giving you the general feel to it. I don't like the style.
I don't think. I apologize, John and Neil, for posting it or putting it this way, but I don't think that was your intent. I don't think that what you should have to do is defend your disliking for one style over the other. That's just what you prefer. You spend your money however the hell you want to spend it.
I mean,
you would rather spend money on really good made 6-point beers than
right. Well, if you think about it, it's not when you go to buy your 6-pack of Budweiser and these other things. It's not like they're bargain basement either.
Yeah,
paying top dollar for your American macros as well. So
yeah,
you can go and the 6-point stuff is not cheap either. Those Hooties that I bought with $3 a piece.
Yep.
12-ounce IPA. And
which for the people that drink the more of the pale yellow lagers that are put out, millions of barrels every year of it, I think that could potentially be one of the reasonings that they stick with those kind of beers, although they can vary in price point, as we just alluded to. It can be a price consideration as to why they would be not so willing to want to dabble into the craft beer more often.
And the craft beers generally are more expensive than the macros, for sure. I think if you just naming it side by side, they tend to be more expensive.
The 4-pack of Trillium I had for our IPA examination was like $20 and change.
I'm saying so to spend $5. The other half stuff is $5 a beer as well. The stuff
people will go and say, "Well, you just bought 4 beers for $20. I just bought 30 Genesee Cream Ales for $15." Whereas that is a fantastic price, and I actually do really enjoy that beer, and I've turned many people onto that beer. I almost never have a desire. Have I? No, I've never bought a 30. I don't believe I've ever bought a 30-pack, 30 rack in my life, and I just don't have a desire to have maybe like a good IPA, maybe, but not even that. I just don't have a desire to buy 30 of any beer. I don't have a desire to buy 30 of one beer at one time. I'll
tell you what I bought, and it was a hard decision, but I decided. But I bought a 15-pack of Fountains All Day IPA.
That's a good beer. I like that.
And that's a lot for me to have at one time also, but I consumed it over a month and a half, and it was like a second beer after having something else.
Yeah. John O'Neill is saying about asking you maybe why you don't like the adjunct lagers. He was saying that he was just curious. I just know that adjuncts are not supposed to impart any flavor, so I just wanted to know if Michael didn't like American adjunct lagers because they were too light, or he thought that the adjuncts added any additional flavor to the beer. And then he goes and says, because I've had some American adjunct lagers where I thought I picked up on the adjunct flavor.
I think it's a combination of both things. I find it not to be tasty enough for my desires in that type of style of beer. And rather than buy it and keep doing it and hoping it gets better, I just stay away from it.
That's what I've understood doing these examinations, whether it was with Jay or these ones that we've done now, that they're just not, whatever the flavor isn't exciting enough for your personal taste buds, and that's fine. Who the heck cares if you don't like that style?
People who are watching, if they want to drink macros until they drop, I'm cool with it.
All right, so this is probably a great place to do overtime, not live.
Anytime you want, you can. Goodbye, everybody who's been here to view this, and it's been fun. And,
I think we have just John and Neil watching now, so thank you.
Neil, it's been fun. We're doing English next week.
I'm going to say this again, which is, I say again, I mentioned this a little bit earlier in our review discussion here. when we all pretty much finished our glass of beer, which was the Germans pretty much wrote the book. I mean, yeah, sure. The English had been drinking these kind of malted beverages, and the Belgians in their own region, in that Austrian, Bavarian, Czechoslovakia area, have been doing their own beer brewing for ages, practically 1,000 years within Bavaria at that point. But they practically wrote the book on, Germans practically wrote the book on beer as we know it right now. And as I was saying earlier, they pretty much exported themselves. They moved out of Germany. A lot of these brewers, they stepped foot on new lands, settled themselves down there, formed these breweries, and brought their style of beer to the rest of the world. So a lot of, can't say that all of the beer is as dark or sour or yeasty in components all over the world, but they certainly brought their lagering styles to everywhere in the world. And so when we think of American adjunct lagers, Canadian, Mexican, we're really stemming from a German way of brewing a beer, just adding twists to match the specific taste and the specific requirements of the area that they're brewed in. So to discredit Germany in the brewing world is just criminally insane. We all love German beers, and we would recommend you all get to that store, and if it says German on it or German style, why the hell not try it?
And one last thing I'd like to mention, Eric, is there's also other German styles we didn't mention. There's something called a Gose, which is a sour, tends to be very salty and have a sour upside to it. And so the Germans are not just
Berliner Weiss, sour,
one-trick ponies.
Yeah,
other styles too.
So I bid you all adieu from Massachusetts Beer Reviews channel of YouTube and Brooklyn, New York's own Michael Kormaroff.
Goodbye, everybody.
I say at the end of my reviews, keep tasting those great beers. Cheers.
Bye now.
And we'll see you soon. I will give you a link to chat with us off air, John and Neil.